everybody, I'm Jeremy Cordo. Peter Clayton's behind the camera. Welcome to the garage. We threw, with a flourish, the garage door open a moment ago and let this beautiful, sunshiny spring Adelaide day come roaring in. Now we're recording for Monday, today, but we're doing it on the weekend and we're not actually sure what the weather's going to be like come Monday, but at the moment, what a great weekend. Are you happy with the football, Pete?
Well.
Oh, you want to know about tonight before you get happy?
Well, yes, it's
that's Port
Saturday tonight.
Port and
GWS,
Greater Western Sydney.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I don't know anything about football, but didn't Port knock off GWS
In round
big time?
22, yes, but things have changed.
How seriously do you take this?
Well, I love it.
But do you go down and wave and?
No, I watch the TV. I do shout at the television sometimes.
Don't we all? God, there's enough to shout about. And what did you say to me just before we came in, that the yes vote is spending $20 million in the next 4 weeks?
Yes. On advertising.
On advertising to try and persuade you and me.
Try and bully.
Well, I don't know that bully. I mean, no, they've got one shot in the locker, and that is they have to persuade us. And they don't have logic. I don't think they have truth. And they certainly don't have... Oh, I don't know what I'd call it. Pragmatism. You know, simple little things like, if in doubt, don't. And that goes for crossing the road, let alone giving away. Well, we don't own our country anymore. The Aboriginals have 55% of the mainland of Australia, so we can't say we own Australia. And I don't know what they do with it or what they do with their title, but they clearly want more. Ah, lordy, lordy, lordy. Let us not give away our country. I see Kamal here. Kamal says he won't be voting yes. He will definitely be voting no in the upcoming referendum. Kamal says he will be voting no. And he said, I don't understand it. Australian entertainer Kamal has said he'll be voting no in the upcoming referendum to this voice in Parliament. Malaysian-born entertainer. He's 88. Wow.
All right, just something quickly. Sean said, you know the voice, John Farmer's the voice. You're the voice, try and understand it. Did they think about that when they picked that song? You're
no.
The voice, try and understand it. We don't.
Probably not. Probably not. Anyway, he rose to fame in Australia. This is Kamal. He said he didn't understand what the advisory board would mean to the country or to Aboriginal people. He also shared well, he was not in favour of John Farnham using the song You're the Voice as the soundtrack for the Yes campaign. Oh, I see, he's gone down here and he's changed the lyrics to be the lyrics to You're the Voice, but he's changed them to a less than complimentary and perhaps more condemning of the whole bloody thing. Anyway, be that as it may, it is interesting. I'd sing some on the subject. I'll read you this. Australia's first major native title claim of a large urban area. This is a claim over Redlands Coast near Brisbane. It says here, This casts doubt on the ownership of urban public spaces and amenities across Australia. God, we don't want that. I mean, we want one country, one people to enjoy everything equally. What's the problem? Australia's first major native title claim on a large urban area is clouding the future of popular scenic areas like parks and playgrounds, cemeteries, and even council buildings. The claim could interfere with native titles on approximately 3,500 council-owned or managed properties in the Redlands Coast area southeast of Brisbane, which is home to more than 165,000 people who didn't even know their ownership of land was in jeopardy. Redlands City Council Mayor Karen Williams said the claim, which was lodged in 2017 by the Queensland, and I can't read it, whatever the tribe was, Aboriginal Corporation, is a landmark case of that all Australians should pay attention to. It is the first time that such a title claim has been made over an urban area in such quantity, she told the Daily Mail on Thursday. Some of those areas we will defend vigorously because they are important and very important, such as the coastal points in particular, and the cemeteries where, I might add, a lot of forebears and pioneers are buried. Now look, we should not be going down this divisive, annoying, non-productive, aggravating track. We shouldn't. Let's talk more about it. We'll have an opportunity at the end of the week on Friday with our live streaming show, jeremycordo.com. And we're getting more and more calls. We certainly had more calls last Friday because you've got to find us. That's the truth. You've got to find us. And that's okay. This nutty government's obsession with renewables I wanted to bring up, we touched on it on Friday. You know, 80% of power must come from renewables by 2030. Now, 2030 is not far away. Well, there is a little problem with regard to this. A little problem. A little problem in the form of the farmers and the rural landowners in regional Australia of this country. They don't want a bar of those awful transmission towers devaluing their land. So they've simply, as we were saying on Friday, locked the gates. A lot of them did that when people were running around fracking. Well, the fracking was a problem, but, well, to some people it was a money box, but to others it was an annoyance, an intrusion. And if you own the land, you deserve to be able to lock the gate. Well, can you imagine these huge transmission towers? And God knows what the consequences of that would be. By consequences, I mean you've got high voltage electricity flowing through these things. Nobody really knows what the electromagnetic field that these things throw up actually do to human health. I can understand a farmer saying, no, I don't want them on my land, I don't want the intrusion, and I don't want your... I mean, the funniest thing, apparently they walked in to a lot of these people. These are, you know, substantial fourth, fifth generation farming families, and they handed this bloke, the farmer, a $50, oh no, not to be, I exaggerate, a $500 cash voucher so they could come in and survey the land and get the construction of these towers up and running. Can you imagine? I mean, the farmer just went into the other room, got his shotgun, came back and said, "Get off my property! God bless you, sir. Perfectly right." But you see, the problem the government has got is that there is no way that the government is going to get those tens of thousands of kilometres of high-tension wire in place in time. It's not going to happen. And just think for a second of all that expense and dislocation. And then you think to yourself, what is the problem they are trying to fix with tens of billions of dollars? What is the problem? The problem is our 1.3% contribution to global emissions. Can you imagine anyone in his right mind going down that track for that goal, for that reason? These people must be seriously mad. Truly, truly mad.
They need the green vote.
Well, okay, they need the green vote, but I tell you what, this is a one-term Albanese government. Because we are not going to suffer not being able to turn on our air conditioning or our heating simply because of the ideological goals, passions, fixations, obsessions of this government. We do not have a problem significantly important to actually interfere with people and their prosperity and their comfort. Not to speak of their cost of living. It is a joke. I just wish we had an opposition that could be a little more vocal. And I was talking to you also on Friday about the collapse of so many construction industries, and I heard this morning, well, I said to you on Friday that I really didn't know how anybody could possibly deal with a construction company with any confidence. They're falling over far, far too quickly, far too frequently. Some of them very big. So how could you possibly secure yourself against a default or a bankruptcy? Very difficult. My advice was to just go and talk to a lawyer. But I heard something very interesting this morning, and that is that there are a couple of companies forming themselves into a sort of a collective that will research the bona fides and the balance sheet, I suppose, of all of the prominent construction companies in Australia. And I'll follow this through and get some details for you, but it means that you can go to one central phone number and say, look, I am thinking of doing business with John Smith Constructions. Could you tell me how solid they are? Are they okay to deal with? And apparently they are going to research construction companies to the point where they can give you a bona fide, I don't know whether it'll be a certificate or just advice, but it'll be something to go on that'll tell you who to avoid and who is pretty good to deal with. We also mentioned in our show on Friday, the dog and pony show that our Premier is taking off to China. 40 delegates! 40 delegates! God knows what that's going to cost. And I just hope that there will be, and if you are a fan of or a listener to the Court of Public Opinion, please feel comfortable that I will follow it through, and we will have at the end of the day an accounting as to exactly what benefit there was in this plane load, or was it, I guess it would be one plane load, of people, accommodation, meals, travel, first class, I would imagine, first class, for 40 people would cost a fortune. So we will be following through and asking what was the benefit to South Australia and South Australians. Here's a fun fact. Australia's population is growing at a staggering $2,000, I do equate it to money because it is money, 2,000 people a day. 2,000 people a day. I don't know if that is staggering or alarming, but I do know that it is not sustainable. No thought by this government as to where these people will work, or more importantly, live. The government is irresponsible not to have a simple, published population policy based on what is good for the country. I've yet to see it. And if I've got time quickly, energy security. I saw this on the news the other night. It was on the ABC, which is basically the loudspeaker for the Labor government. Energy security, this is what the Prime Minister said. Energy security is economic security. I'll repeat it. Energy security is economic security, which is of course exactly what we all want. We all want economic security in this faltering world. Anyway, we've got it on the record. So says the Prime Minister. Perfectly right, sir. With our energy resources, Prime Minister, we should have the most energy secure country in the world. So what is it that you don't get? What is it? You know, without being frivolous, you remind me of the guy, and I don't know whether this was a true story, apocryphal legend or what. You may have heard the story. The guy who stole a tanker. He took it for a joyride into the desert, where it promptly boiled its radiator and broke down. Now the guy died of thirst, horrible death. He stayed with the tanker because he thought that was the best place to stay. People would come look, you know. He stayed with the tanker where he died. Unnecessarily. Because he wasn't smart enough. Prime Minister, are you listening to this? He wasn't smart enough to realise that right there on the back was 1,000 gallons of water. Cool, clean, clear water. So, forget the climate crap. We have here in Australia energy security. We have what we need, and we are not contributing overly to emissions in the world. What we need is somehow for you to come to your senses, but I can't see it. We don't need your alternative energy policies because they don't work. Quite frankly, when you think about it, while they're struggling to get these overhead wires up there by 2030, which they'll never do, if I know anything about farmers, it'll never happen. You cannot turn off the dependable, reliable, coal-fired power base until you've got your alternatives up in the air, which won't happen. But what you guys are doing, you're running around, you are closing down what is reliable and needed for what is just nonsense. I'll leave it there for today, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday the 18th, and my wife is having this fly. Pete, this fly has been in here.
No.
This fly.
I didn't know they lived that long.
Where is he? God, but maybe he likes current affairs, or he likes the court of public opinion. I don't know. But I don't kill flies. I don't kill anything. But anyway, my wife says, yeah, I won't go into that. But it's my birthday, so she's written a whole lot of stuff here, which is...
No, come on, Jeremy.
I shouldn't read that.
Yes, come on.
Should I read it?
Yes, read it. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. It says 1945, 18th of September, the almighty, invincible, God only wise is born in Rose Bay. Ah, really? All right, thank you, dear. 1965, Mel Brooks and Buck Henry's spy spoof sitcom, which was called Get Smart, starring Don Adams and Barbara Feldon, debuts on NBC TV, and it was great. Really good show. Even though it was up against me and Blind Date on Channel 10, I think if I was home watching the television set, I'd have gone over and watched Get Smart. A lady I would have loved to have talked to, in fact I tried to talk to her a few times. 1905 she was born, Swedish actress Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo, born in Stockholm, Sweden. She died in 1990, famous for, after her celebrity, she decided that she, what did she say? I want to be alone. I want to be alone. Anyway, I think she died happy. Lived a long life. Good. 1812, we keep talking about the 1812 overture and whatnot, but the fire, which we started mentioning last week, did go on for quite a while. The fire of Moscow. It burned out after 5 days, 75% of the city destroyed, 12,000 people killed. Tim McInerney, British stage, screen, radio actor, Blackadder, Notting Hill, Doctor Who, born in Cheshire, England in 1956. Jeeves and Bertie Wooster made their first appearance in P.G. Wodehouse' short story, Extricating Young Gussie, published in the Saturday Evening Post in the United States. Derek Nemo. I've got a picture of Derek Nemo over there somewhere. He and I had a bit of fun in the studio. 1930 he was born, British comedian, character actor, all gas and gaiters, born Liverpool, England. He died in 1999. But nice bloke. I liked him. Liked racing motor cars too. Liked fast cars. 1964 sitcom series The Addams Family. Premieres on ABC, runs for 2 seasons in 1964. 1970, Jimi Hendrix, Australian rock guitarist, Purple Haze, The Wind Cries Mary. I'm not into Jimi Hendrix, quite frankly. Never got that guy. Anyway, he dies of asphyxiation at 27. It was kind of popular in the 1970s among rock stars. Did you ever hear about this, Pete?
No.
They used to sort of tie things around their neck and put an apple in their mouth and hang themselves on a doorknob. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
No, it's very weird. I read somewhere that was the popular way of the rock stars of the day entertaining themselves.
Gee, well.
And some of them didn't make it through the experience. Ah, well. TV sitcom A Dream of Jeannie, 1965, starring Barbara Eden, as a 2,000-year-old genie. Larry Hagman as an astronaut. It's a kind of weird.
Great show. It was a great show.
Great show, but who would have thought? Can you imagine walking in to say to the executive producer and saying, look, I've got this wonderful idea. I've got a 2,000-year-old genie and an astronaut, and the genie lives in a bottle, and you get thrown out of the office, wouldn't you? Anyway, thank God they weren't thrown out of the office. They weren't. Actress and singer Debbie Reynolds, she was 23. American singer Eddie Fisher, 27. Divorced in 1959. I used to talk to Debbie Reynolds regularly. She was a lovely lady. 1955 was when they got married. Well, she was only 23. Lance Armstrong, American cyclist, banned for illegal drug use. Born in Texas, 1971. He got away with it for years and years and years. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion, our podcast, and our posting on Facebook. And of course, I look forward to your company, Pete and I, Friday, live streaming from the dining room table, the Court of Public Opinion. JeremyCordeau.com. I hope you'll find us. Believe in yourself. Bye for now.